Good evening. In rugby today, it was the Five Nations. In the Premiership these days, it's the League of Nations. Tonight, we feature the Frenchman. And the Serb. The man from Georgia. And from Zimbabwe. The Swede. And the Scousers. Liverpool Leeds, Newcastle Bolton and Manchester City Coventry are our main games tonight. We have our usual roundup. This goal from a Norwegian, by the way. Leicester and Essex represented in the analysis and opinion department. Well, at start of play today, the bookies saw Liverpool as 5-1 chance for the championship. They were 12 points behind Newcastle in 4th place. The visitors to Anfield were Leeds United, who won there last season. The commentator is Clive Tilston.
It's the favourites for the FA Cup against the favourites for the League Cup. Nobody doubts that Liverpool and Leeds United are capable of winning trophies, but can they still offer any hope to those who back them to win the championship, I wonder? Liverpool can move into 2nd place in the table today. A late goal by Ian Rush, MBE, extended their unbeaten run to 8 games last weekend. But it wasn't enough to win him a starting place in an unchanged lineup. Wright and Harkness complete suspensions today, and Jamie Redknapp is almost fit to resume too. Leeds just 4 points behind Liverpool are without the injured Tony Dorigo, in addition to their African contingent away on Nations Cup duty. Brian Deane, who scored the winner here last season, is free from suspension, but joins Rush amongst the substitutes. So Lee Chapman, whose return to the Leeds lineup lasted just 26 minutes last Saturday, keeps his place. He'll be doing his level best to keep his arms down this week too. Paul Durkin is the man in charge. We'll not see any white flags being waved on the championship battleground just yet. But someone, somewhere, has got to make their move and make it soon. Gary McAllister, Gary Kelly, looking for Chapman in the corner. 1 or 2 eyebrows raised when he was signed on loan. I think 1 or 2 jaws dropped when he was selected in preference to Brian Deane today. Now, who's Terry Venables watching? McManaman, Fowler, Collymore, Chapman. I think he's had crazier suggestions during the course of the last year or so. All given away by Scales. This is Speed. Rowling moved infield so that Kelly could have the right flank to himself. Space for Gary Speed. Well, believe it or not, he's one of the best headers of a ball around. Barnes. McManaman. Here's the last player that you want running at you like that. You can go either way. Came inside, and the shot didn't quite match the menace of the run. Brolin. McManaman making a sturdy challenge. Collymore. Space for McAteer. 3 ahead of him. McAteer's cross. Oh, and Gary Kelly had to deal with it. It was hit with a bit of pace, but it did seem to be in goalkeeper territory when it whizzed into the 6-yard box from McAteer. But Beanie stayed where he was, and Gary Kelly, facing his own goal, had to do something. Taken by McManaman, Barnes at the near post. There's a fine line between the relaxed rhythm which Liverpool have turned on in several home games here this season. Been a hint almost of bravado and arrogance about some of their passing and movement, but at times today it just looked a touch casual and not quite clicked as yet. Lacking a bit of edge maybe. But McAteer's run that for Fowler, and here's McManaman, blocked by Weatherall, might come from McAteer. Well, they hunted the ball down there with a little bit more relish. Forced a mistake out of Carlton Palmer.
A message for John Graham in the capstone.
Rob Jones. Here comes Ruddock, and here comes number 1. He takes some stopping when the ball's delivered like that. Neil Ruddock gives Liverpool the lead. They forced that corner, quite literally. Forced a mistake out of Leeds United, and they made the most of it. And Neil Ruddock, on an irresistible rush into the penalty area, thundered the ball into the corner of the net. Collymore. Collymore again, accelerating away from speed. McManaman's forward run made space for McAteer. Fowler let it run, McManaman, Fowler! Oh, that was delightful. Jones is there, and so too is Gary Speed to clear for Leeds United. Applause ringing round Anfield for a highly polished Liverpool move. Fowler's finish stretching Mark Beanie. Chapman doing well to find Brolin. He's got Wallace wide to his left. Rod Wallace. Corner kick. Just clipped off John Scales. Rod Wallace, who's got his chance in the last couple of games because Tony Yeboah is away playing for Ghana in the African Nations Cup, and they're making good progress too. Claimed by David James. Ruddock. Jones made the run. It's a good pass of the ball, Neil Ruddock. Some power in that left foot, but good touch about it too. And he says out, you get out. Chapman's header. Wallace, down for Gary Speed. Oh, good save by David James. Well struck by Gary Speed. And James is a big man, but an athletic man. Launched himself to his left to claw it behind into the cop for a corner. His first test was a big test and he was up to it. 5 minutes of the half remaining. James wasn't so sure then, but he was fouled by Carlton Palmer. David James was away in Milan during the week. taking his place on the catwalk in an Armani fashion show. Times change, don't they? I don't remember Tommy Lawrence doing that sort of thing. But he's a Liverpool goalkeeper in a long line of very good Liverpool goalkeepers. McAllister picking out Wallace again. He's gone away from Scales here. Rod Wallace. Not quite as spectacular a save by David James, but because he's a big man, he had to get down very quickly there. Wallace squeezing in a shot. Chapman finding Brolin. It's nice for speed. And here's McAllister. Jones taking no chances. James looks back in the direction of the full-back, but I think he probably did the right thing. Gary McAllister's forward run was threatening Liverpool. Worthington's corner. Headed by Barnes. Palmer finding Chapman. It's come through to McAllister. Again, beautifully struck. A little closer to David James this time, and at a nice height for the Liverpool keeper. Plenty of power, though. Plenty of good technique from Gary McAllister. He is one of the most gifted midfield players in our game. One of the most influential. That's a lovely pass from Barnes to Jones. Worthington's got to deal with this, and does. Well, Liverpool took time to get up to speed. Their early play was a little woolly around the edges, but Razor Ruddock gave them the cutting edge with a thundering header. Liverpool's performance picked up after that, but Leeds finished the half quite strongly too. It's 1-0.
Half-time draw, we take your place in just
Leeds were actually the very first league leaders of this season's Premiership. You may recall they beat Liverpool at Ellen Road with a Tony Yeboah wonder goal during the opening week of the season. When a lot of people were confidently predicting that half a dozen or more teams would be locked in Championship battle deep into the season. Collymore. McManaman. Barnes. Certainly Liverpool and Leeds are amongst the clubs with the will and the wherewithal to be potential champions. Fowler into Rob Jones, pummeled to the ground by Weatherall. Referee has a long, hard look and shakes his head. Gary Speed. It's interesting, and it'll come as a surprise to a lot of people, but Liverpool have not been awarded one single penalty so far this season. John Scales. Tackled by Speed. Won the ball, Fowler's in possession. Now Jones. Well, he's never scored for Liverpool. He's been with the club over 4 years now. But he thought he was going to score then. He certainly got on the dangerous side of David Weatherall. Arms are linked. And a little bit of push and shove. I think Jones is unlucky. Top end. Jones has gone on ahead of McManaman. This is Fowler. Collymore wide on the touchline. Fowler again. Well, they hardly lacks confidence in front of goal at present. trouble here because Rob Jones was clean through on goal when he was tripped. Jones getting his penalty at the second time of asking. It's red. Gary Kelly's been sent off for the second Saturday running. A Leeds player leaves the action early. It was an honest enough attempt to win the ball, but it was mistimed, and a foul in that vicinity is always likely to bring with it the ultimate sanction for the referee. Jones was clearly denied a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Liverpool's first penalty of the season then. Robbie Fowler, top end, 2-0. There's just a limitless supply of goals from Robbie Fowler at the moment. 9 in the last 5 matches here at Anfield. 22 for the season. Beanie had to guess right, couldn't get anywhere near it. Are you watching Venables? I dare say we'll pick the cry for the cops. He is. Jones again. The Leeds are shaken here. Cousins towards Wallace though. We'll have to wait for the cavalry to arrive. Might try and go to low. Well, free kick's been given. He's right on the edge. The linesman on the far side of the field, Michael Ryan, indicated to Paul Durkin that he thought there was an offence there. Bab ran across Wallace, good yard outside the box. Leeds need to make something happen, and happen quickly if they're to get back into this game. Worthington takes. It's come all the way through to Rod Wallace, and it came to him at an awkward height, and he couldn't quite make anything of it. Bab to Jones. McManaman. Fowler. Collymore. Jones offering him an option down the touchline. Collymore says, I'll go it alone. And here's Fowler, that's 3. And Robbie Fowler with 2 quick strikes to keep up his strike rate here at Anfield at the moment has killed off Leeds United's hopes. Stan Collymore, not for the first time of late, Fowler's provider. Quite apart from his undoubted ability, Collymore is quite a physical specimen, isn't he? Strong, fast and direct, and he committed Leeds there. And Fowler just gobbled up the chance at the far post. But nobody could quite catch up with Stan Collymore. McManaman. Jones. Collymore. Quite sure how he felt to reach that. McAteer. Collymore again. Well, he did better with the more difficult chance. Again, Leeds United stretched by the Liverpool width. Good cross with his unfavoured foot by Jones. Collymore denied both with head and foot. Ford. Deep. Collymore. 4 in the attack. All looking hungry. Carlton Palmer standing firm. outsiders in the English game these days. Sammy Lee, Ronnie Moran, Roy Evans and Doug Livermore sat in a row, all born within 5 miles of Anfield. All former Liverpool players, all boyhood Liverpool fans. Barnes. Fowler. McManaman. Collymore. McAteer. Collymore has gone on the outside. Fowler. Thomas. Jones. There's a bit of matador and bull about this. McManaman to Collymore. Oh! Too hot to handle. Stan Collymore thunders home Liverpool's fourth. And Leeds United just couldn't get near the ball. They passed it and passed it and passed it, and Collymore thought, why not? And Beanie actually dived past it. But they wait for Stan Collymore, 25 next Monday. It's been a happy Saturday. Won by speed momentarily. And when he had that effort saved by James brilliantly in the closing moments of the first half, that was probably as good as it got for Leeds this afternoon. Those 2 goals from Fowler in the space of 6 minutes, allied to the dismissal of Kelly. Collymore trying again, the back of Palmer. Kept in by Fowler for Jones. Goals for Collymore and Fowler again this afternoon. Barnes. Collymore. Barnes. Collymore. Blocked by Weatherall, it'll be a corner. Really found himself in the last couple of months. In towards Barnes, and now running! 5-0. Now the man who started it has probably finished it. The ground shook there for a moment. Neil Ruddock just rubs it in. I think it was a thumping volley. If he'd been another 20 yards out, I think it had still got in. Beanie probably did well to stay out of the way of that one. That's it. For the first time this season, Liverpool have moved into second place. That 5th goal means that they've won 5 home matches in a row and scored 21 goals in the process. They're on the kind of run that can maybe carry them higher than second yet. It may still be a cup-winning year for Leeds United, but could it still be a championship year for Liverpool? I wonder. They're in the mood today. 5-0. Scoring goals for fun at Anfield at the moment, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't say for fun. I think it was a tight game until the sending off, and after that we've gone to town a bit. But you know, you've always got to be cautious. We had a better spell against City where we scored 10 in a week, and then we couldn't score for a month. So,
what are your observations on a mistimed tackle like that, bringing an almost inevitable red card?
Without wishing to comment on today's incident in itself, I think the whole mandate ruling, whatever, needs review, because to my mind, the game and the rules and refereeing and how people play the game is about fairness and justice. And it seems to me at the moment that some of the rules, as they are, as people are being asked to apply them, are unjust. And I don't think that makes any sense.
Is the first question when they all come in the dressing room, how have Newcastle gone on?
well, no, I think the first question is how have we done ourselves, and that's that's all we can worry about. Newcastle haven't got to look at themselves until the day they come down here, and then it's a bit different.
When they asked how we done today, boss, what did you say?
Well, they got fair marks today.
Steve Hartness and Mark Wright are available again now from suspension. Jamie Redknapp's not far away.
Yeah, Jamie's back and Archie and Wright are there, so I mean, it's going to be tough for the gaffer to select next team, but at the minute, after that show, hopefully I'll still be there. If not, I'll be knocking on his door.
I wouldn't say no if you did.
Well, we'll talk about Liverpool's great performance in a moment, Trevor, but what about Howard Wilkinson's point about that double punishment? You get sent off and you give away a penalty.
Yeah, I think the frustration comes with players and managers where they think there's a genuine attempt to actually make a tackle and they just mistime it. There were two similar incidents actually today, because early in the second half you had this where, in fact, again, Rob Jones just gets the other side of David Weatherall, and I think this was a penalty, and he definitely pushed and fell over him, and if he'd have given the penalty then, Paul Durkin, he would have had to have sent him off. On this occasion, Kelly takes it, and again, Rob Jones gets hold. It is a trip. He would have had a clear scoring opportunity, and the referee, Paul Durkin, on both occasions, would have had to have shown the red card. You know, there's no flexibility, and I think...
it's mandatory, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's got
that's
to do
right,
it.
and I think what we've got to say is, you know, what's the alternative? The alternative is for the referee then to interpret whether it was a genuine attempt to tackle or whether it was a cynical challenge. And then you're up to sort of human interpretation, which will lead to inconsistencies. And I think really you've just got to leave it as it is. And certainly on those occasions, it is unfortunate. But I mean, defenders are aware of that now, and they've just got to make sure that they get the ball when they do make their tackle.
It was brought in to favour the attackers, in actual fact, that rule, wasn't it? But,
Yes, I think a couple of years ago we were sitting here, Des, and seeing a couple of forwards brought down deliberately by defenders, and it was a free kick. They were yellow carded, but they weren't. And we were saying, well, that's unfair to the attacking side. Here we are 2 years later saying the opposite. And I suppose as Gary and I, as attackers, we would say that leave it as it is.
Yeah. What about Leeds, though? Because I mean, you don't associate Leeds with getting a bit of a hammering, yet it's happened on 2 or 3 occasions this year. They've conceded 6, I think, a couple of times, once in Europe and now 5.
They won the championship, of course, but I've always felt they've been vulnerable defensively. I think this year already they've conceded over 30 goals, and I would say the goalkeeping and the 2 central defenders has always been an area that I think the opposition could be made to expose them, and I think until they get that sorted out, there'll always be a cup side and won't get back to challenging for the championship.
And Brian Dean on the bench.
Well, I was surprised. I mean, you know, Tony Yeboah wasn't there, we know, but Chapman, Wallace and Brolin never really gave him a cutting edge, and certainly to have Dean on the bench didn't make sense to me.
Now, what about Liverpool? They were sparkling at times again today.
Terrific. Their front three were great. You know, if you've got Collymore, Fowler and McManaman, with the movement that they've got in the side, Collymore here, his acceleration now is back to its very best, as good as it ever was at Forest. It is looking particularly dangerous. Look at Fowler, his hand's up there, the ball comes in, he just steps over it. He and McManaman have a great understanding. I mean, you know, he's excellent and something that I think long-term will end up in the national side. Here you gain Collymore turns. Look at Fowler running diagonally, gets away from Weatherall, tries to knock it square to McManaman, who had got beyond the midfield players again, but on that occasion the ball was just behind him. Again, the build-up, they pass and move. That is the Liverpool philosophy. It's always been there. You don't stand still. Rob Jones, who did well on the left-hand side, really. You see McManaman just enticing Cousins, who was a substitute, and giving Collymore the space now. Jones overlapping, draws him wide, and he just accelerates between the two. And I mean, Fowler, again, goal side of the 2 defenders. I mean, he has that great instinct, doesn't he? Again here, everyone's running off the ball. Fowler, you see, just got to the edge of the 18-yard box, didn't get the ball. He thinks to himself, I'm going to help my mate out again. He drops back, and again draws Palmer to give Collymore the space to hit the shot. I mean, I would blame the goalkeeper because he's in the middle of the goal, but the power was terrific, and I thought their movement was outstanding. I still think, 12 points behind Newcastle, they are the team that I think could put the pressure on.
Fowler not part of the England setup.
Very surprising. In a get-together like this week where there's no match, I think he should have been included. He's got to dislodge somebody in the overall squad, but I think he's too good to leave out at present.
Thank you. Well, Newcastle United's 100% home record was dented, of course, in that penalty shootout with Chelsea on Wednesday. Would it affect their Premiership form and title hopes today as they took on the bottom club, Bolton? A back injury meant that Newcastle were without Les Ferdinand for the first time, but Robert Lee returned to their lineup, and Bolton's one change also involved a Lee. Their David Lee replaced Patalainen. Commentary from John Champion.
Kitson. Stubbs has gone across. Lee is carrying through the middle. And this is Steve Watson. Ginola. Warren Barton towards Kitson. Didn't make good contact. Robert Lee might. Good save by Brannigan. Robert Lee back in the side after injury today, and so nearly on the score sheet. McGinley. And Kirchik has continued his run. And Cernacek had to make sure. Well, Kirchik has made a real impression since joining Bolton back in November. 5 goals in 17 games so far, and this wasn't too far away from being number 6. This is Robert Lee. Watson, surrounded by Bolton defenders. Clark. And now Barton. Back to Clark. Lee. Barton for a 3rd time in this move. Now Beardsley. Has he got the key to unlock it? Towards Kitson with the header! Simple as you like, really. Barton was the man that probed and tried and tested. They needed some incision. And who's sharper than Beardsley? Usually it's Ferdinand on the end of that. Today it's Paul Kitson. 1-0 to the Premiership leaders. There's Kirchik. He got past Barton. The two of them are still wrestling for it. And the referee has given a free kick to Bolton. Now this is a chance for the visitors. Sellers to take it. Towards Bergson, and Bolton have scored. The Premiership's bottom club have equalised against its runaway leaders. Sellers with the free kick. Bergson scored against Newcastle at London Park earlier in the season, and now he's repeated the dose. It's 1-1. Ginola, effortless control. He didn't keep his eye on the ball. Beresford towards Peacock. Out as far as Albert. Good save by Brannigan. Well, he scored with a fearsome free kick in the cup against Chelsea the other night. This was nearly another spectacular effort. Now Lee. 4 in the centre. Still Lee. Use Kitson as a foil. Here's Ginola. That's had some sting in it. There seems to be no backlift at all from David Ginola. He didn't need it. Look at this. Whack. Lee. Kitson in a good deal more space than he should have been allowed. Phillips is across with it. 2 waiting in the middle. One of them is Beardsley. He was just crowded out by Alan Stubbs. It comes to Robert Lee. Flag stays down. He's hit the post. I don't think he can quite believe it. The chance itself couldn't have been simpler. He did the hard work. Once the ball somewhat fortuitously had found its way to him. This is Watson. Peacock, free header, Beardsley! That's the century. Peter Beardsley's 100th league goal for Newcastle United. Spread over 12.5 seasons, and like the rest of them, beautifully conceived. A set piece may be, it still had to be finished, and very few are better than P. Beardsley Esquire. 2-1. Schneekers, looking straight to Lee Clark. Ginola seeing plenty of the ball. Beardsley, likewise. Still Beardsley. Oh! That was so nearly number 101. They're carving out some chances this afternoon, Newcastle. Shaved the post. Now it's Phillips for Bolton. Katalainen. Sellers, taken in his stride, struck well. tipped over the crossbar. That was a sweeping move from the side bottom of the table. And Sellers brought a good save from Cernicek. This is Jimmy Phillips. To Blake, if he can turn out there, Bolton could be in here. He has done. Clear chance for Nathan Blake, and that's a fine save by Cernicek. Nathan Blake has yet to score his first goal since moving from Sheffield United, and that's as close as he's come thus far. David Lee. Referee's played a good advantage. This is Schneekers. Lee is still down. But Green provides the width instead. 3 in the centre. Still it's Scott Green. He's allowed to run unchallenged. Oh. Well, I'm not surprised he leans in supplication against the advertising board, because Bolton were just inches away from an equaliser. He did really well, Scott Green, after the referee had played an excellent advantage. And look how close he was.
All right, we've lost 2-1, but we'll give a great account of ourselves. We've took the game to Newcastle at times, and you've got to remember that Newcastle will go on to win the championship. I certainly believe that. But for us, I mean, a lot of people were saying today, it's lambs to the slaughter or whatever, David and Goliath. But today, you've seen for yourselves that it could have been 2-2.
I thought the fans were magnificent. Of all the teams we've had here, and we've had all the big teams, their fans were different class. And at times, you'd have thought they were at home, you know. And I think the chant, we are bottom of the league, we're bottom of the league, you know, they won a lot of people over here. They certainly look a better side than the bottom of the league side here today.
I'll tell you what your manager is good at. That's saying, listen, the championship is far from won yet, but there'll be other people that'll say, well, we might as well give up the chase. What's your view on it?
Well, I hope you're right. I hope they do give up the chase. But, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to lose 4 games now, and the rest have got to win every game. So it's in our hands. You know, we've got a great chance of doing it now.
He'd be perfect for Footballer of the Year, I reckon, if they eventually do become champions, don't you?
Good call. I think he's so terrific for the game, and he always comes across very well. And he's a fantastic player. Of course, I know him very well, played with him. And you'll notice that all the strikers that play with him score prolific amounts of goals, and there's no coincidence to that, because he's fundamental in that. And great professional, great enthusiasm, and as you say, I'd love them to go on and win it. I expect they will. I can't see anybody catching them now. And Beardsley's Player of the Year sounds good to me.
Yeah. Now, Bolton underline, I think, that any team coming out of the First Division into the Premiership, the first thing they've got to get right, I mean, they're playing nice football, but the first thing they've got to get right is the defence.
Yeah, I mean, they're not far off 50 goals conceded now, and that's too many. I mean, they're good going forward. Midfield's good, and without Alan Thompson, who's a good young player, they've missed him this season. But I think at the back, they've got to tighten up. Otherwise, but they could still get out of trouble, because at 13, there's still that little about 5 clubs, 2 or 3 wins, they could close it up. I don't think they're out of it yet.
Okay. Well, Newcastle coming back successfully from their cup exit. Arsenal and Blackburn were hoping to do the same. First, Arsenal at home to Everton.
In the absence of Tony Adams, Ian Wright was named Arsenal's captain for the day against Everton, who must hate playing against Wright. On 4 previous visits to London, he'd scored 8 goals against them. The habit continued this afternoon, 7 minutes before half-time, the Arsenal striker finishing in style. Everton's equaliser was hotly disputed, Arsenal claiming that Ferguson and Amakachi were offside when the ball was played to Graham Stewart, who squeezed it past David Seaman. Everton boss Joe Royle backed the referee, saying they weren't interfering. Arsenal, playing without Bold, Platt, Keown and Adams, went behind 7 minutes from time. Barry Horn's throw was collected by Andrei Kanchelskis, and David Seaman will have been disappointed with his performance. It's been a bad week for Arsenal. Blackburn are in 5th place after recording their 9th consecutive Premiership home win. Before kick-off, Blackburn's Alan Shearer was presented with the December Goal of the Month award by David Arris, who successfully selected Shearer's goal. It was perhaps no surprise then that it was Shearer who scored Blackburn's opening goal. Not a January contender by any stretch of the imagination. A patient build-up in the 27th minute, and goal number 27 was a formality for the Blackburn striker. 3 minutes later, Sheffield Wednesday found themselves 2 goals behind when the Norwegians Berg and Bohinen combined. Berg providing the pass, Boheinen's finish was delightful. 5 minutes from time, a nice moment for Kevin Gallagher, whose career's been severely hampered by injury for the past 2 years. Shearer's shot broke kindly, and Gallagher cleverly lifted it over Woods. 3-0 to Blackburn.
Well, now our third main game. Both clubs in the bottom four on the same number of points. Manchester City at home to Coventry. Barry Davis saw this one.
We have an exceptional talent we wish to nurture. Alan Ball's programme comments about this 22-year-old Georgian, Georgi Kinkladze, a player the Manchester City crowd have fallen in love with, especially since last Wednesday's FA Cup success. Coventry too have a jewel who can lift the spectator from his seat in the Zimbabwean Peter Nlove. Talent to temper the trials of teams at the wrong end of the table. Manchester City make just one change to Wednesday's side. The return after suspension of Ian Brightwell in place of Ray Ingram, who is anyway injured, and they look to find cup form now in league football. Coventry City bring in Brian Burrows to replace the suspended Boost, with Nlove, who's been troubled by an eye injury, starting for the first time since mid-December. So, Act 1 of a contest which will continue at Highfield Road next weekend in the FA Cup. This one is about the 3 points, which at the end of the season will prove to be vital. First shot going harmlessly away from Noah Whelan, who's started well with his new club. 3 goals in 6 games. Referee this afternoon is Robbie Hart. Immel only to Nlove. Again, didn't kid it in the way one anticipates from him. I'm not quite sure what sort of challenge that is. It's an embrace more than anything else. That's it. Back 4 move up. Played through the middle, well, by Lomas to Flitcroft. Scoring goals has been the problem all season. Only 7 in 11 Premiership matches here. Brown, there's space right side, but he's just carried across and allowed Coventry to fill all the spaces. Rustler now to Quinn. And he scored 5 times this season. He scored goals from that position throughout his career, but he really got that all wrong. Off the left of the shin bone. Pickering. Love, Dublin, and still. Chance at either end. Quinn's was the clearer, but there was an opportunity for Dion Dublin, whose goal tally is more than twice that of Quinn this season. Lomas. Oh, it's got through. Mistake by Richard Shaw. Chance for Quinn to make amends, and it's over the top. Back they go in their seats with feelings, I'm sure, we've seen all this before. Mistake by Shaw, he must be hugely relieved. Gordon Strachan using the fact that he's a substitute to some advantage, running up and down the touchline, warming up, but giving instructions all the time. Pickering. A minute of stoppage time at the end of a hugely disappointing half. Love, that's kind, but that's wide. Another one of those little wrestling matches we've seen in the middle of the field. Taken down by Dublin, battered by Summerby. And it's 0-0 at half-time. Two really excellent chances falling to Niall Quinn, neither taken, and Manchester City still wait goal number 8 only of this season at Main Road in the Premiership. Steve Lomas has a problem with the small of the back that he ripped towards the end of the first half, but he is to continue at the start of the second. A few words from the referee, Robbie Hart, saying that he is rather stretching the rules about coaching because he's a substitute and can run up and down. He's certainly been well clear of the area designated for managers and coaches. Coventry City manager, Ron Atkinson, all smiles and now down on the bench as the second half is about to get underway. And we could do with a bit of sunshine that Ron seems to always enjoy wearing the dark glasses, because frankly the coldest afternoon of the season so far has coincided with, as far as I'm concerned, the worst match I've seen so far. Therefore the optimist it might get better is Kinkladze. Quite well. Led by Shaw. One mistake in the first half should have proved costly, but didn't. Now Whelan here is offside. Summerby. Shaw across. Quinn getting a second chance, and the corner. Marcus Hall covering the near post. Telfer as well. Quite a grouping. On the near uprights. And players coming from the back. That's a good save. Turn over the top to deny Kit Simons. Came forward, timed it well. Lecroft adds it in. Richardson, and then Telfer out. Keith Curl. Tony Book and Alan Ball down on the bench, and the manager, and indeed Asa Hartford. And the manager's going to bring on a very promising youngster. Here's Martin Phillips, 19-year-old, who followed Alan Ball from Exeter for £500,000 in November. Made his debut on New Year's Day. And he's replaced Steve Lomas.
Take him away! Take him away! Buddy! Come on, protect him! Hold it! Come again! Come again, Dion!
Signs more promising. Isler. Phillips. Quinn in the middle. Slightly stumbling run there. It was never really rolling for him. Quinn. Wrestler! Well, such a celebration for a goal, but they don't see too many here in the Premiership. It's his 7th of the season. Quinn who set it up, and there was no cover on the German, and it's 1-0 to Manchester City. It's well played by Quinn, and the attacker between two defenders past the advancing goalkeeper. It's taking him some time to reload. Quinn will be feeling a bit better. Set that up well. He's nicely off the instep for the German nod. Love. Seen by Summerby, who's rather more attacking stance at the start of the half. Oh, Whelan! I don't think that Immel could possibly have covered it, but it was the wrong side of the post. But he really did meet it well. Whelan with a Love just inside him. Played alongside Dublin in the second half rather than wide on the right. Marcus Hall. Dublin! 1-1. The applause has changed hands. Good cross, and the sort of ball that Dublin feeds on. Fine header, well placed. Marcus Hall with the cross. And real determined header of quality. Goalkeeper right on his line, had too much space to cover. Phillips. Richard Shaw taking command. Always was a tiny defender at Crystal Palace. Rosler, Kuzovic missed it completely, and his Brightwell didn't miss it the second time around, the goalkeeper. He gets applauded by his captain, Dion Dublin, for saving Brightwell's shot. Just nowhere near that. Out by Love, and Brightwell with the shot. Turned over the top. I think that's it. Nice return from Versler. Lovely width found by Kinkladze. Phillips. Quinn! Good save. One that he would have been expected to make, but even so. Best cross that Phillips has hit. Up went Quinn. And up to went Kuzovic. Shaw. Well, a major improvement in the second half. It had to be so. And for a while it looked as though it was going to go Manchester City's way when Rosler scored in the 56th minute, set up by Niall Quinn. But Dion Dublin, with a fine cross by Marcus Hall, made it 1-1. And the final outcome, probably the right one.
There's so much at stake now. Teams that go down, the financial costs are desperate.
That really, you know, as professionals, I suppose you have to look at that, but we really don't. We look at pride. I mean, our boys don't want to go down. The club have had a proud record of 30 years unbroken. I think it's 30 years. and we don't want to go down. And it's my bet that if we can just keep pegging away and pegging away, I mean, all of a sudden, you know, we've got an awful lot more points in the last 6 or 7 games than we'd had, you know, prior to that. There'll be teams that are sitting there thinking they're happy. They were, you know, just remind what happened to Norwich last year. This time Norwich were probably looking towards a European place, and then they get on the glass mountain.
I think we worked really hard. We created a lot of chances, and end of the day, it's not enough. 1 point against a team that's also on the bottom from the league.
I'm not disappointed at all, Barry. I thought we were smashing today. They'll win far, far more games before the end of the season if they keep playing like that. We created chances. We may have missed chances, but I thought we dominated the game all the way through, to be honest.
Well, I don't think it's one of the classics, was it, Gary? But I think Coventry will be Coventry will be happier with that point, obviously, as the away side.
I think he'll be happier with the point than the performance, though, because today Coventry were poor. They didn't really play, but they've ground out an important result away from home, and Big Ron will be very pleased with that.
We were mentioning just now that if you're to be successful in the Premiership, you've got to defend well, but you've got to score goals, and that's Manchester City's problem.
Certainly is. They've only scored 13 goals in 23 league games, which is an incredible statistic. I think the 2 forwards have only got 7 between them, Rustler and Quinn, which really isn't good enough. They don't get a great deal of width in the side, which, with having a player like Quinn up there, is a bit of a problem. But they've certainly got a lot of creativity in midfield, and Kincladze in particular looks a terrific player. He's been a revelation up there all season. We see him here, he picks it up. And this is a classic example of how once they get near the box, the final ball or the final chance is not good enough. Kincladze again here, in and out, great close control, lays off, chance for Brightwell. I mean, it's a nothingness, really. That's just nowhere. Here we get him again. Knocks the ball out wide there to Simons. Hopeful ball inside. And now what he was thinking of there, and nobody would win the spot the ball on that one. Here we go. Picks it up in midfield. Plays a lovely little sort of 1-2-3 really. Picks it up again. Really goes at people. Knocks it out to Flitcroft. Another great chance for Niall Quinn, but good defending from Pickering on that occasion. But he's also always on the edge of the play, always on the periphery of it. Knocks it in. Great 1-2 with Rustler. Not a lot of mobility up front right throughout the afternoon, but knocks it out wide there. And Martin Phillips, good debut, only 20 minutes or so, but did well. Knocks it in. That's what Quinn's good at, getting above people in the air, but he's struggling with his chances at the moment on the floor. But they did get 1 goal between them today, which will perhaps give them some encouragement.
All right. Well, 3 more matches to catch up on now, beginning with Chelsea against Nottingham Forest.
Chelsea rounded off their great week with another victory. Not a classic by any means, but few would argue with the quality of the goal. Dan Petrescu's cross was good, but John Spencer's volley was even better. That's made it just 1 defeat in 13 for Chelsea.
I don't think it was the best football match we've played in recent weeks. I think that was down to the tiredness and the exploits of the game against Newcastle. So this game today, after winning a big game in midweek, we'd drawn this game last year, but I think there's a bit of difference now, and we seem to have got the result today, which we're more than happy with.
At the Dell, both sides needed a win, and after 4 successive Premiership defeats for Borough, it looked as though things would change when Nick Barmby exchanged passes with Paul Wilkinson. And Barmby's finish said it all. But Southampton, without a Premiership win since November the 25th, suddenly found inspiration. Matt Letizia, who else provided it? And Brian Robson will not be happy with his defence for Southampton's equaliser. All round, this was scroppy play, really, until Gordon Watson got in the cross, and Neil Shipley was there for his 8th goal of the season. Southampton have always known how to celebrate goals. Middlesbrough then threw the game away, or rather Phil Whelan did. His 2nd bookable offence, and surely no real argument to that decision. Manager Brian Robson was furious, blaming Whelan for the resulting defeat. And inevitably, from the free kick, Southampton scored. Jason Dodd did some great work, cutting in as he did here from the right. And although Gary Walsh produced a fine save, it went straight to Richard Hall. His header was perfect, and 15,000 fans joined in the relief. A stormy London derby with 11 bookings and incidents aplenty, but Wimbledon, without a Premiership home win for over 4 months, took the lead. Dean Holsworth, returning from injury, set up their first goal for Øyvind Leonardsen, a superb turn and volley just before half-time. But Wimbledon, with a £25,000 FA fine hanging over them, had their 7th player this season sent off for that incident between Mick Harford and Mark Haitley. Harford was sent off for the use of the elbow. The referee, Steve Dunn, had little hesitation, but has said he'll look at video evidence again. Rangers then equalised. Initially not much danger, but Bradley Allen just managed to get the ball eventually to Mark Haitley. And what a time to score your first goal for the club. But despite the celebrations, it was the Dons who took the honours with a well-taken goal from previously out-of-favour Andy Clark. Effie Koku's pass really created the opening, and Clark was quickly onto it. He rounded Jurgen Sommer, and then he needed reviving after scoring. September the 9th is a long time without a home win. As for referees, Joe Kinnear believes they need help.
We need a third eye. We need someone sitting in the stand. We need a system where the green light goes on, it's a penalty, and the red light goes on, it's not. And that takes all the responsibility away from referees.
Well, the table at the bottom, Bolton stay 5 points adrift of QPR. Manchester City and Coventry remain in the bottom 4 after their 1-1 draw. At the posh end, Newcastle's win over Bolton moves them 12 points clear, the biggest lead any side has had in the Premiership for 2 years. Liverpool go second to climb above Manchester United, who play on Monday, and Tottenham, who face Aston Villa tomorrow. Blackburn's victory over Sheffield Wednesday puts them in the top 5. Alan Shearer, who scored again for Blackburn today, still heads the list of Premiership hotshots with 21 goals, but Robbie Fowler is just one behind after his 2 for Liverpool today. Well, 12 points clear, 15 games left. Newcastle's Championship. Kevin Keegan knows it's never won in January, and so did Liverpool. Good night.
Here comes Ruddock, and here comes number 1. Liverpool's first penalty of the season then. Robbie Fowler, top end, 2-0. Collymore. Jones offering him an option down the touchline. Collymore says, I'll go it alone. And here's Fowler, that's 3. McManaman to Collymore. Too hot to handle. In towards Barnes, and now Ruddock! 5-0.